Hi everyone, welcome to the session. This was a much awaited session that I am starting today, which is related to the Terraform. Let's get started. I have received a lot of requests to start the Terraform, and even I was also mentioning it to start a couple of months ago, but I could not work on it because of time constraint. Now we will start with this. And Azure is also in continuation. Azure is still not finished yet. The videos will be coming up. More advanced architecture topics will come up accordingly. So we will run this parallelly. I will try to finish this Terraform series as quickly as possible because this is not very big time consuming topics. So we will try to cover this as soon as possible, and in parallel, we will also go with the cloud topics. So before I start, I would like to give you the overview uh, before the Terraform, what IaC is, which is infrastructure as a code. So before we jump to the Terraform topic directly, every one of you should know what is infrastructure as a code so that we would be able to draw the baseline regarding the Terraform. So what is this infrastructure as a code? So far we used to create everything using the portal, right? If I have to create anything, let's say we were focusing on Azure cloud, it can be AWS, it can be GCP, it can be any other platform. So if you want to create something, what you used to do, you used to log in into the portal, right? We used to log in into the Azure portal, and from there we used to manually create the task. Like if I have to create any resource, then I need to go to that particular option to create it. Or if I want to create any virtual machine, we used to go to the Azure portal, and from there we used to create everything. So that was the manual task. That was the manual effort that we were doing. Now, when it comes to the infrastructure as a code, so in infrastructure as a code, what we do, we create everything using the code. We use the code. We don't go to the portal. We don't manually provision the resources. We create the things using the code stuff. By code, I mean that we have to write the configuration code. Means we have to define what we want to create in the form of a code. So no manual login into the portal. You don't have to manually go into the Azure portal or AWS portal and create something, click somewhere. You just need to write the code, define what you want to do, and the resource will be provisioned or created. So infrastructure as a code is a practice. IaC is a practice. IaC एक practice है through which you can provision. Provision means create something. If you want to create a virtual machine, if you want to create a storage, load balancer, application gateway, whatever, you can just use the IaC method, IaC approach for that. If you have to configure any resource, let's say you already have a virtual machine in Azure and you want to change the size of that VM. You want to increase or decrease the size, or you already have one virtual machine in Azure and you want to attach one extra data disk onto it. So if you want to configure something, that is also possible via the infrastructure as a code. So if you want to create something, if you want to configure something, and if you want to manage any resource which is there on cloud, you can use the infrastructure as a code. Even in the on-premises also, if you want to achieve these things, you can use the infrastructure as a code. So infrastructure as a code, as the name says, manage, create the infrastructure using the code. Code के through infrastructure को manage करना. So you don't have to manually create anything. Just write the code of it and deploy it. So why this is important? Like why there is a use of IaC? We could have created everything using the portal. Portal पे login करके create तो हो ही रहा था. And why this IaC came into the picture? Why this? Because nowadays the IaC things are becoming very famous since a couple of years, like in the last 1 or 2 years, it is booming in the market. Every cloud engineering role requires you to have the IaC skill set. For every DevOps engineering role, you must have the IaC skill set. Even for the other roles like IAM, Identity and Access Management engineering role, you need the IaC automation. So every role in IT nowadays requires the automation skills, and IaC is one of that skill. So it is highly demanded, must and essential skill in the market. If you don't have this, it will be very difficult for you to get the job into the cloud engineering, DevOps engineering roles. So why this IaC came into the picture? The question is IaC की जरूरत क्यों पड़ी? So the very first benefit of IaC is automation. It provides the automation. अब हमें कोई मैनुअल डिप्लॉयमेंट नहीं करना पड़ता. If I have to create something in cloud, if I have to create, let's say, 100 of virtual machines, earlier we used to do it manually. Or the people who don't know how to use the IaC, they will do it manually. They will log in into the portal, they will create a resource group, they will configure the tags, they will follow the steps of creation of VM, and they will repeat it 100 times. If they have to create 100 virtual machines, so they will repeat their effort into 100 times. एक VM को 100 तरीके से, मतलब 100 बार बनाना. So the effort is going to be multiplied by 100. If on average, if we are taking, let's say, 15 minutes to create a VM, then in order to create 100 VM, we have to spend around 1500 hours. 1500 man hours. This is the problem. And that was the reason the IaC is one of the things which can save your time. It can save the time of the engineers working in the company. Engineers का time बचाता है. Companies can invest that time of the engineer into other activities. जिस काम को करने में engineer 1500 hours ले रहा है in order to provision 100 virtual machines, companies can plan that for another work. So the time of the engineers are getting saved, the time of the companies are also getting saved, and they are able to focus on other priority tasks as well. So it provides the automation. IaC की वजह से automation आ चुका है. So no manual deployments, no manual decommissioning as well. It's not only for the deployments. If you have to delete something, if you have to decommission something, you can also use the IaC for that part. Then the second benefit of having the IaC is consistency. Consistency means, suppose in the development department, there is a requirement. They have given you one requirement to create 3 virtual machines. उन्होंने बोला आपको 3 VMs बना के दो हमें for the development task. Install the IIS in all of these 3 machines. Then enable some ports. For example, enable HTTPS 443 port and 80 port for HTTP and HTTPS traffic. Then they have also asked you to enable some more network ports. They have asked you to install some softwares. They have given you some RBAC roles to configure that please enable this permission for these people. So you have done it manually. आपने वो कर दिया. And you have handed over that task to the development now. आपने करके development को दे दिया. Now they did their job. उनको जो भी development करना था, whatever development work they wanted to do, they completed that. And once it got over, let's say they were in the process to do one development for 20 days or 30 days. छोटा मोटा उनको कुछ काम करना था. They wanted to do some testing for one code for 20 to 30 days. 20-30 दिन की testing थी. And after that, they don't need these resources. अब उनको इन servers की requirement नहीं है. So they again created one ticket to the cloud team that we don't need these resources. You can just decommission them. आप इनको delete कर दो. Because जब जरूरत ही नहीं है, एंड इफ वी विल कीप दैट ऑन द एज्योर पोर्टल, देयर विल बी कॉस्ट. So they have asked you to delete all the resources, and as per the ticket you deleted them. आपने उनको delete कर दिया. You have cleaned up all the resources. But again after 20 days, the same team comes up. 20 दिन के बाद फिर से आते हैं वो, and again they raise one of the ticket to the IT team that we need again those identical resources that you had created, let's say 30 days back. 30 डेज पहले जो आपने हमें रिसोर्स बना के दिए थे, दोज 3 वर्चुअल मशीन्स विद द IIS इंस्टॉलेशन, विद पोर्ट इनेबल्ड एंड आर बैक इनेबल्ड, सम एप्लीकेशन इंस्टॉल्ड, वी नीड इट अगेन. हमें दोबारा चाहिए बिकॉज वी वांट टू डू सम डेवलपमेंट वर्क ऑन वर्जन 2. मतलब हम कुछ एप्लीकेशन डेवलपमेंट कर रहे हैं ऑन वर्जन 2 ट्रैक, सो वी नीड दोज रिसोर्सेज अगेन. मुझे एग्जैक्टली वी नीड एग्जैक्टली सेम प्लेटफॉर्म, पूरा प्लेटफॉर्म सेम चाहिए हमें. Now, you have to remember what you have done. You have to look into the old records. You have to fetch the all tickets कि उसने क्या क्या करके दिया था. You will refer the work notes कि हमने क्या क्या करके दिया था, किसने करके दिया था. You have to approach that guy if it is required. फिर जाके आप दोबारा से सेम काम रिपीट करोगे and you will recreate that, right? But if you are using the IaC approach, अगर आप infrastructure as a code method use करते हो, then you have the code of that. आपने उसका कोड रखा हुआ था. For that resource creation, you have the code of that. So you can reuse that code and it can maintain the consistency. आपको identical resource exactly same create करने हैं. You can use the same code, deploy it again. It will again save your time, your effort, and it will maintain the consistency. It will create the identical resources. Exact same resource जो पहले create हुए थे, क्योंकि हमारे पास उसका code है, so that will be recreated again. क्योंकि हमने उसका code maintain करके रखा हुआ है. We can version control the codes as well. हम अपने कोड्स को स्टोर करके रख सकते हैं गिट में या तो एज्योर रैपोज में. सो गिट एंड एज्योर रैपोज, दीज आर द वर्जन कंट्रोल सिस्टम्स. आप लोगों को पता होगा इसके बारे में. सो इट इज हाईली यूज्ड अक्रॉस द इंडस्ट्रीज. इस पे भी हम बात करेंगे आगे जाके. आई एम प्लानिंग फॉर दिस सीरीज एज वेल. बट इट इज वेरी इजी. एवरी वन ऑफ यू मस्ट नो द गिट. गिट तो आना चाहिए आप लोगों को. गिट एंड गिटहब इज मैंडेटरी इन द क्लाउड नाउअडेज. रिपीटेबिलिटी. इफ यू आर यूजिंग द IaC अप्रोच, अगर आप IaC के थ्रू डिप्लॉयमेंट करते हो, अगर आप इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एज ए कोड यूज कर रहे हो, तो रिपीटेबिलिटी मतलब जैसा कि मैंने बताया, अगर आपको सेम इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर दोबारा से क्रिएट करना पड़ता है, जैसे अभी मैंने एग्जांपल दिया, इफ द डेवलपमेंट टीम कम्स टू यू अगेन एंड आस्क यू टू रिक्रिएट द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर दैट दे हैव आस्क्ड 20 days back or 30 days back, if you have the code, you can recreate it, you can redeploy that. कोड है तो दोबारा से रीडिप्लॉय करोगे. सो दिस विल सेव योर टाइम. इवन सपोज there are 3 departments: test department, development department, and production department. So earlier there were some testing going on regarding some of the servers. पहले कुछ टेस्टिंग चल रही थी. So we had created the infrastructure using the infrastructure as a code for the test team. Once the testing is over, now the development has been started. Again, we had to create the same infrastructure for the development team as well. We did it. हमने कर दिया. And once their development is done, if we have the code, we can use the same code to create the production infrastructure as well. So with the single code, we are able to deploy the resources for the test, development, and production if they are demanding for the same type of workloads. अगर उनको सेम टाइप का वर्कलोड चाहिए, तो हम सेम कोड से रिपीटेबिलिटी, हम बार बार उसकी डिप्लॉयमेंट्स कर सकते हैं, एंड वी कैन सेव अवर टाइम, अवर एफर्ट्स. डिजास्टर रिकवरी में बड़ा यूजफुल है. if you are managing, if you are deploying your resources through the IaC in the disaster recovery, let's say, I will give you one example. For example, all of your infrastructure in production is in the UK South. मान लो आपका Azure का जो infrastructure है, most of them is in the UK South region. सब most of them, बहुत सारे resource आपके UK South में चल रहे हैं, but there have been some sudden spike in the UK South region. in the Microsoft data center. Microsoft के data center में कुछ issue हो गया. In the UK South, it's not functioning well, and there is a business impact now. So if you have the code, if you are using everything using the IaC platform, अगर आप infrastructure as a code use कर रहे हो, if you have the code of it, if UK South is not functioning well, you can deploy that code into another region, maybe in the West Europe, because you have the code, so you don't have to worry about the timing, the effort, प्रेशर कंसंट्रेशन ढूंढ ढूंढ के लाओ कैसे क्या किया था चेक करो एवरीथिंग नो यू हैव द कोड यू हैव स्टेप बाय स्टेप कोड और वट एवर इज रनिंग इन योर इन्वायरमेंट इन यूके साउथ रेप्लीकेट दैट इनटू द वेस्ट यूरोप सेम कोड को उठा के वेस्ट यूरोप में प्रोविजन कर सकते हैं हम एंड दैट विल क्रिएट द डिजास्टर रिकवरी सिचुएशन दैट विल क्रिएट द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इन द वेस्ट यूरोप जब तक कि यूके साउथ लाइव नहीं हो जाता. So that is also possible. So for the production critical workloads, बहुत critical अगर कोई application चल रही है किसी server पे या किसी serverless function पे, in that condition, if there is some issue in that particular region or in that particular data center, you can replicate that into the another region if you have the code. तो कोड से डिप्लॉयमेंट करना इजी हो जाता है especially in the case of disaster recovery. Scalability. IaC provides you scalability. If you have to deploy thousands of resources, you can deploy with minimal effort. जैसा कि अभी हम डिस्कस कर ही रहे हैं बार बार कि अगर आपके पास कोड है, you can deploy multiple resources in a single click. Single click पे, we just have to run one command. For example, Terraform space apply. We will see that command into the practicals. We just have to run one command, Terraform space apply, and it will create thousands of resources with that code which you have. जो आपने कोड रखा हुआ है उससे thousands of resources create हो जाएंगे. In the event of audit also it helps us. In companies there are audits. Companies में audit होती है. So in the audit, if you have the code of everything, like what infrastructure is running, what kind of resources are there on the cloud, it will be easy for the tracking, it will be easy for the auditing. Audit करवाना easy हो जाता है. Even for the internal audit also it becomes easier. मैनेजमेंट को अगर ऑडिट करना है कि कौन कौन से इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर चल रहे हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ आई वांट टू ऑडिट दैट इन द प्रोडक्शन हाउ मेनी सर्वर्स आर रनिंग for this particular department and what is their size. If we are managing everything using the infrastructure as a code, we can just go there, we can easily fetch out the reports and we can look into it. So audits में हमारी अच्छी help करता है ये. And one more thing which I want to tell you is it reduces the dependency on one engineer. एक engineer की dependency भी खत्म करता है ये. For example, earlier days what used to happen, if let's say this person A is the best engineer of our company, for example, and he is in the organization since long time, he has created most of the things for the company. मान लो इसी ने पूरा cloud infrastructure बनाया था, इसी बंदे ने, the person A has created the cloud infrastructure for us and he is working with us now. अब क्या होगा? We have the dependency on this person. If something breaks, we will always approach this person A, that Mr. A, this is not working, please help us. And he will be like, oh, I have the dependency on this organization. He will behave like that. And even, if he gets another opportunity, then because company has the dependency on this person, so they will try to retain this at any cost. But with the IaC, because we have everything in the form of code now, सारी configuration का तो code है हमारे पास. So there is no dependency. If we have the code, another person can easily use that code, understand that code and deploy it. अगर उसको वो code समझ में आता है तो person B can also come to the company. That person can also understand the syntax and structure using that code and deploy it easily. So it reduces the dependency also. Automation reduces the dependency That is why companies are crazy about automation. It's saving the time, saving the effort, obviously saving the money, क्योंकि हम उन इंजीनियर्स को किसी दूसरे प्रायोरिटाइज काम पे लगा सकते हैं अब. We don't have to hire more engineers for more tasks. So work has been optimized. Auditability has become perfect. Repeatability, बार बार एक ही जैसा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट करना है. We don't have to invest a lot of time for the repeatable boring task. So everything has been automated using the infrastructure as a code. पूरा पूरा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर आज की डेट में कोड के थ्रू मैनेज हो रहा है. दैट इज वाई इट इज बिकमिंग वेरी वेरी डिमांडिंग इन द मार्केट. तो अभी मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दिया भी था. तो दिस इज दैट काइंड ऑफ एग्जांपल. पहले सब कुछ मैनुअल क्रिएट होता था, बट नाउ इफ someone is using the IaC infrastructure as a code, then we just have to write the code and run the command. For example, Terraform space apply. Now, when it comes to the IaC, जब infrastructure as a code की बात आती है, so it's not only about Terraform in the market. It's not only Terraform is there in the market. Terraform इकलौता नहीं है. Terraform is not the only one in the market. We have a lot of infrastructure as a code tools. क्योंकि अगर आपको infrastructure as a code use करना है, then you have to use some tools. ये काम कैसे होता है? Tools के थ्रू. If you want to manage, create your infrastructure using the IaC concept, you need tools. IaC के लिए tools आते हैं, and Terraform is one of that tool. Terraform is infrastructure as a code tool, but it's not only Terraform in the market. Nowadays, we have a lot of IaC options. So if you see on my screen, the first tool you will see is Terraform. And Terraform is the product of a company called HashiCorp. Terraform एक company का product है, and that company name is HashiCorp. So Terraform is one of the IaC tool which is very popular in the market, and I would say it is number one tool in the market for infrastructure as a code. सबसे number one rank पे, सबसे highly demanded rank पे, the tool which is there in the market is Terraform. That is why most of you have heard about Terraform. So Terraform can support multiple cloud providers: AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle, Alibaba. I will show you. I will discuss about this one. हमारा focus Terraform पे ही है. We are running the Terraform series, so I will show you. I will teach you everything in detail. So Terraform is one of the tools. It uses one of the code language called HCL, HashiCorp Configuration Language. The full form is HashiCorp Configuration Language. When I mentioned IaC, जब मैंने IaC बोला infrastructure as a code, so most of you were feeling that do we need the coding expertise to use the IaC? आप में से बहुत सारे लोग सोचने लग गए that क्या हमें कोडिंग की जरूरत है IaC करने के लिए? So my answer is, if you are using the Terraform, then you don't need to know the programming language. You don't need to know the programming syntax. मतलब वो जो actual developer वाली programming होती है, if you are using the Terraform, you don't need to know about it. तो Terraform में तो नहीं चाहिए. But yes, if you are using some other tools, you must have some basic knowledge, basic syntax knowledge. For example, if you are using the bicep, then definitely you must have some syntax knowledge. But for Terraform, no. Terraform के लिए नहीं चाहिए. I will teach you all the important concepts, the job ready concepts, advanced concepts without having any coding expertise. तो coding की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. You can bear with me. You can just tolerate me for this series and you will become expert. Expert वैसे आप practice कर करके बनोगे, but I will teach those topics which will make you job ready for the senior roles into cloud and DevOps. So जितने टॉपिक की रिक्वायरमेंट है हम वो सब करेंगे. So Terraform uses the HCL language, which is HashiCorp configuration language, और HashiCorp configuration language is human readable language. ये human readable language है, plain English में है, it uses the plain English. ये अब हम देखेंगे जब हम practical करेंगे. From the next video onwards, we will start doing the practical. We will be focusing on the Terraform only. So HCL is in the plain English format. बहुत ही easy language है. No prior coding experience is needed for this. इसके लिए कोई coding experience नहीं चाहिए आपको. So you have to remember the language of Terraform is HashiCorp. Earlier, the Terraform was open source, but now it is managed by IBM. So it's no more completely open source. पहले completely open source था, but that's a different topic altogether. So HCL language is in plain English. You can easily understand the syntax. हम देखेंगे practically, and it is very good for the multi cloud deployments. जिस कंपनी में मल्टी क्लाउड इन्वायरमेंट चल रहा है वहां पे तो बहुत बेस्ट है. इसलिए सारी कंपनी इसी को फोकस करती है, बिकॉज इट इज इजी. इंजीनियर्स डज नॉट रिक्वायर द कोडिंग एक्सपर्टीज. तो जो कंपनी में ऑलरेडी क्लाउड इंजीनियर्स है, सिस्टम एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर्स है, they are able to learn this tool, they are able to use it. The company don't have to hire the separate Terraform engineer for the infrastructure management. तो इसलिए Terraform की ज्यादा डिमांड है. इट इज इजी टू इम्प्लीमेंट, इजी टू यूज, मल्टी क्लाउड इन्वायरमेंट को सपोर्ट करता है. बहुत सारे इसके अंदर टेम्पलेट्स प्लगइन्स अवेलेबल है. वी विल सी ऑल ऑफ देम प्रैक्टिकली. HCL लैंग्वेज है, सो इट इज ह्यूमन रीडेबल लैंग्वेज. नो कोडिंग एक्सपीरियंस इज needed. Then the second tool which we have in the market is OpenTofu. OpenTofu जो है, it is open source tool and it is Terraform alternative. मतलब Terraform जैसा ही है. It also uses the HCL language and it can also work on the multi-cloud deployment pattern. और इस जिसको Terraform आता है, that person can easily manage the OpenTofu. तो बहुत ज्यादा यूज नहीं होता. Terraform is again on the top rank, but OpenTofu is also there in the market. तो थोड़ा बहुत ये भी है. You don't need to focus on this one. If you know the Terraform, OpenTofu is just an alternative. Then in the Azure, they have their own IaC tool called Bicep. Microsoft have their own IaC concept called Bicep. So in Azure, you will see this Bicep. It follows the JSON syntax, JavaScript notion. So here you need to know some basic syntax of programming. यहाँ पे थोड़ा basic syntax पता होने चाहिए आपको, how the thing works. And it supports the Azure platform. It is for the Azure deployments only. Multi-cloud को support नहीं करता. So we will not focus on this one also, क्योंकि एक ही cloud agnostic tool है. Company does not use it much. जहाँ पे सिर्फ Microsoft ही मिलेगा, there are chances they will be using the Bicep. But ये भी आप सीख जाओगे in case if you know one of the IaC tool. But most of the company have the hybrid infrastructure. Almost every company have it. So Bicep is in use, but not too much. Bicep भी use होता है. Every tool is in use, but Terraform is on top. Microsoft also have another tool called ARM templates, Azure Resource Manager. ये भी है Microsoft का ही. This is also IaC. It works on Azure platform and uses the JSON. So Bicep have the Bicep language. Bicep is one of the language which follows the JSON syntax. ARM follows the JSON language and it is also for the cloud deployments. Azure के ऊपर deployments के लिए use होता है. If the company is using the AWS only, they can also go with the AWS Cloud Formation. This is the native tool of AWS. ये Amazon का अपना खुद का IaC tool है. Just like Microsoft have Bicep and ARM, ऐसे ही AWS का है Cloud Formation. So it only works on AWS platform and it supports the JSON and YAML format of languages. और सिर्फ AWS deployment में ही काम करता है. So it is also used in the company, especially in the AWS heavy environments. Then Pulumi is also one of the tool. ये multi cloud पे काम करता है, but here it supports multiple languages like Python, C Sharp, Go, TypeScript and Java. तो basically ये developers use करते हैं. The developer uses it for their IaC concepts. Ansible is also very popular language. इट इज ऑल्सो IaC, इट ऑल्सो सपोर्ट्स मल्टी क्लाउड, और ये YAML सिंटेक्स पे काम करता है, बट ये कॉन्फ़िगरेशन मैनेजमेंट के लिए यूज होता है। अब कॉन्फ़िगरेशन मैनेजमेंट क्या है, आई विल डिस्कस इन नेक्स्ट 1 or 2 minutes। शेफ इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द IaC टूल। शेफ भी IaC में आता है, and it is also used for the configuration. It is also configuration management tool. It uses the Ruby DSL language and it supports the multi-cloud. तो ऐसे बहुत सारे IaC tools है मार्केट में। See, Puppet is also there. It is also one of the configuration management tool. It uses Puppet DSL language. It also supports multi-cloud. Salt is also one of the IaC tool, and it is also configuration management and orchestration tool. तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोविजनिंग टूल कौन सा है हमारा, टेराफॉर्म। नाउ इनकी कैटेगरीज की अगर मैं बात करूं, बिकॉज वी आर लर्निंग द IaC, तो IaC में कैटेगरीज है। जैसे फर्स्ट कैटेगरी इज प्रोविजनिंग। प्रोविजनिंग मतलब इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट करना। इफ आई हैव टू क्रिएट सर्वर्स, स्टोरेजेस, लोड बैलेंसर्स, फायरवॉल्स, एप्लीकेशन गेटवेज, ट्रैफिक मैनेजर, वॉट एवर, इफ आई वॉन्ट टू क्रिएट एनी रिसोर्स, वी नीड द प्रोविजनिंग टूल्स। अगर मुझे क्लाउड पे कोई रिसोर्स क्रिएट करना है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर क्रिएट करना है, आई वांट टू क्रिएट सम लैंडिंग जोन, आई वांट टू क्रिएट द रिसोर्सेज, देन वी नीड द प्रोविजनिंग टूल्स। एंड द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ प्रोविजनिंग टूल इज टेराफॉर्म। टेराफॉर्म एक प्रोविजनिंग टूल है। ओपन टोफू इज वन ऑफ द प्रोविजनिंग टूल, इसके थ्रू आप इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बना सकते हो। बाइसेप इज ऑल्सो प्रोविजनिंग टूल। ARM templates are also provisioning tool. Cloud Formation जो AWS का है, that is also provisioning tool. Polumi, that is also provisioning tool. तो इनमें से कोई भी एक टूल आप यूज कर सकते हो या आपकी कंपनी यूज कर सकती है फॉर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर क्रिएशन, एंड वी विल बी यूजिंग द टेराफॉर्म, क्योंकि इसी की डिमांड है, कंपनी यही यूज कर रही है। ज्यादा सीखने का कोई फायदा नहीं है। ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं सब कुछ जान जाऊंगा, देन देर विल बी अ लॉट ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज। कंपनी नीड्स द एक्सपर्ट्स, स्पेशलाइज बंदे चाहिए कंपनी को। तो market share of Terraform is very very high. Learn this. We will focus on this one. Then फिर आप धीरे धीरे accordingly you can jump. My next plan is to go for the bicep as well. Bicep पे भी हम जाएंगे, but not too much in detail. बहुत ज्यादा डिटेल में नहीं। Terraform we will focus on very detail. Then we have second category of IaC, which is configuration management tool. Configuration management tool का ये मतलब होता है कि मान लो मैंने provisioning tool से, for example, I have created one Azure virtual machine using the provisioning tool. Now VM is ready, but inside that VM I have to install the IIS. IIS install करना है, I have to configure one web page, right? So this task can be achieved by the configuration management tool. ये काम कौन करेगा, कॉन्फ़िगरेशन मैनेजमेंट टूल, बिकॉज द VM विल बी क्रिएटेड बाय द प्रोविजनिंग टूल लाइक टेराफॉर्म। टेराफॉर्म क्रिएट कर देगा। अब मुझे उसमें IIS इंस्टॉल करना है, देन आई हैव टू लॉग इनटू दैट सर्वर, आई हैव टू मैनुअली इंस्टॉल द IIS। और मान लो मुझे उसमें एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी इंस्टॉल करना है, आई हैव टू मैनुअली डू इट। सो इफ यू हैव टू डू एनी कॉन्फ़िगरेशन इनसाइड द रिसोर्स once it is provisioned, now you can use the configuration management tools. अगर आपको सर्वर के अंदर या किसी भी रिसोर्स में कोई कॉन्फ़िगरेशन करनी है, यू कैन यूज द कॉन्फ़िगरेशन मैनेजमेंट टूल्स लाइक Ansible, Chef और Puppet. So out of this, Ansible is very popular. It is the Linux product. Chef and Puppet was very popular earlier, but अब इनकी डिमांड, they have a lot of competitors nowadays, but Ansible has its edge. Ansible अभी भी बहुत ज्यादा पीक पे है. Salt is also a configuration management tool. So here the example is given कि Terraform ने एक VM बना दी. Now if we have to install IIS or configure Active Directory, create multiple resource, install SQL servers inside the VM, you can use the configuration management tools. So ये भी IaC के अंदर में ही आते हैं, infrastructure as a code. Then we have container orchestration category. Container orchestrations are basically used to manage the containerized application. जो हमारी माइक्रो सर्विसेज एप्लीकेशंस होती है, इन ऑर्डर टू मैनेज दैट वी यूज द कंटेनर ऑर्केस्ट्रेशन टूल्स. फॉर एग्जांपल Kubernetes, Docker Compose. तो Kubernetes Docker Compose is a separate topic altogether. बहुत बड़े, बहुत depth and very demanding topic in the market. When it comes to the IaC, so IaC में दो तरीके की अप्रोच होती है, डिक्लेरेटिव एंड इम्पेरेटिव. ये याद रखना आप लोग, डिक्लेरेटिव एंड इम्पेरेटिव. व्हाट इज डिक्लेरेटिव? सो टेराफॉर्म जो है हमारा, दैट इज ए डिक्लेरेटिव अप्रोच। टेराफॉर्म डिक्लेरेटिव अप्रोच फॉलो करता है। मतलब टेराफॉर्म की जो लैंग्वेज है विच इज HCL, इट यूजेस द डिक्लेरेटिव अप्रोच। डिक्लेरेटिव अप्रोच का मतलब है यू डिफाइन द स्टेट। आप स्टेट डिफाइन करते हो कि आपको चाहिए क्या, व्हाट डू यू वांट टू क्रिएट। यू डिफाइन द एंड स्टेट कि आपको, फॉर एग्जांपल, आई नीड वन रिसोर्स ग्रुप विद द नेम ऑफ prod rg एंड इट शुड बी इन सेंट्रल इंडिया। दिस इज व्हाट आई हैव डिफाइंड। अब टेराफॉर्म का काम है हमें बना के देगा। वी हैव डिक्लेयर्ड समथिंग इन द फॉर्म ऑफ कोड, हमने कोड के फॉर्म में उसको डिक्लेयर कर दिया। नाउ टेराफॉर्म विल क्रिएट इट फॉर अस। सो वी डिफाइन द डिजायर्ड एंड स्टेट कि हमें चाहिए क्या। We will define that in the form of code and Terraform will provision it. So HCL language uses the declarative approach. Terraform की जो HCL language है that follows the declarative approach. So if someone asks you what is the language of Terraform, it is HCL language. And what kind of approach that language follows? It follows the declarative approach. Then the another approach is imperative. In imperative, we have to mention the steps. जैसे मुझे अगर एक वर्चुअल मशीन बनानी है, देन आई हैव टू राइट द कोड, द कंप्लीट कमांड इन दैट कोड। मुझे उसका कमांड पता होना चाहिए। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इन ऑर्डर टू क्रिएट द वर्चुअल मशीन वी हैव टू क्रिएट द रिसोर्स ग्रुप। तो वी हैव टू नो what is the command to create that resource group. So we will embed that into the code. वो कमांड हमें वहां पे इंसर्ट करनी पड़ेगी या मेंशन करनी पड़ेगी। जैसे पावर शेल, पावर शेल, इन द पावर शेल वी मेंशन एवरीथिंग। वी मेंशन द कंप्लीट कमांड, द कंप्लीट सिंटेक्स की अब क्या होगा, कैसे होगा, हाउ विल यू डू इट, व्हाट विल बी द नेक्स्ट स्टेप, व्हाट इज द कमांड टू एग्जीक्यूट दैट। सो यू कंबाइंड दैम इन द फॉर्म ऑफ स्क्रिप्ट। सो पावर शेल फॉलोज द इम्पेरेटिव अप्रोच। एज्योर पोर्टल पे जो एज्योर CLI होता है दैट ऑल्सो फॉलोज द इम्पेरेटिव अप्रोच। और इफ समवन ऑफ यू आर फेमिलियर विद द लिनक्स, तो लिनक्स में बैश स्क्रिप्ट्स काम करती है। बैश स्क्रिप्ट्स ऑल्सो फॉलोज द इम्पेरेटिव अप्रोच। वहां पे भी हमें स्टेप बाय स्टेप सब कुछ मेंशन करना पड़ता है। if I have to create the Linux virtual machine, inside that we have to create, let's say, users, and we have to give them sudo permissions. So in our bash script, we have to mention everything in the form of imperative approach. तो इसके लिए आपको डिटेल में पूरे commands and everything you should know about it. So these two approaches are followed by the IaC. बाकी कौन सा IaC टूल सबसे ज्यादा डिमांड में है? सो आई टोल्ड यू टेराफॉर्म इज वाइडली यूज्ड। टेराफॉर्म पे हमारा फोकस रहेगा नेक्स्ट टाइम से। अब वी विल डिस्कसिंग व्हाट इज टेराफॉर्म, व्हाट आर द एडिशंस ऑफ टेराफॉर्म, हाउ द टेराफॉर्म वर्क्स। ये हम नेक्स्ट वीडियो में मैं डिस्कस करूंगा। देन वी विल जंप टू द प्रैक्टिकल फ्रॉम द थर्ड वीडियो इटसेल्फ। सेकंड वीडियो में मैं टेराफॉर्म के बारे में बताऊंगा, हाउ द टेराफॉर्म वर्क्स, टेराफॉर्म का सिंटेक्स क्या है, कैसे क्रिएशंस होगा, डिप्लॉयमेंट्स कैसे होगी, एंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हम उसकी जो भी प्री रिक्विजाइट है कि लैब कैसे रेडी करनी है हमें, हाउ वी विल डू द प्रैक्टिकल्स। सो हम उसको क्रिएट करके देन फ्रॉम द थर्ड सेशन, फ्रॉम द थर्ड वीडियो ऑफ टेराफॉर्म, हम डायरेक्टली प्रैक्टिकल्स पे जंप कर जाएंगे। सो बाइसेप इज ऑल्सो इन डिमांड बट स्पेशली इन द एज्योर ओनली इन्वायरमेंट। तो जहां जहां सिर्फ एज्योर एज्योर है वहां बाइसेप मिलेगा। पोलूमी जो है डेवलपमेंट टीम्स मैंने बताया था। ओपन टोफू बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है, टेराफॉर्म के जैसा ही है। एनसिबल, यस एनसिबल इज यूज्ड बट इट इज ए कॉन्फ़िगरेशन मैनेजमेंट टूल, तो इसका काम अलग है। इट्स नॉट लाइक टेराफॉर्म। टेराफॉर्म इसका काम नहीं करता एंड एनसिबल टेराफॉर्म का काम कंप्लीटली नहीं कर सकता। So this is all about the infrastructure as a code. I hope you like it. I hope you understood what is infrastructure as a code. And Terraform is one of the example of infrastructure as a code. So from the next video onwards, we will be discussing what is Terraform, what are the additions of Terraform, workflow of Terraform, and then we will jump to the practicals. So now I am signing off this. So thank you very much for your timing. See you in the next session. Bye.